Tyrannosaurus Rex, skull-born god of annihilation. Still hungry, Tyrannosaurus Rex is a 7-ton apex predator with bone-crushing jaws and a personality disorder forged in hellfire. There's a reason this thing is the poster child of prehistoric murder. It wasn't just the teeth, banana-sized serrated knives mounted on a skull engineered to pulverize. It wasn't just the vision forward-facing eyes capable of depth perception good enough to thread a needle in a windstorm. It wasn't even the bite force over 12. 0 pounds per square inch. Enough to shatter bone like it's a stale communion wafer. No, it was the attitude. T. Rex didn't just hunt, it ended stories. It was extinction on 2 legs. And don't come at me with those limp-wristed scavenger theories. That's the coward's gospel. You think a creature with a 5-foot skull, thunder thighs that could clock 20 mitri, and the hunting strategy of a wrecking ball just wandered around waiting for leftovers like some Mesozoic raccoon. This was a precision-killing engine wrapped in 66 million years of trauma. Yes, the arms are small. I know, everyone knows. We've all seen the memes. But let's be real, those arms could still curl 400 pounds. Had one of the highest muscle-to-size ratios of any limb in nature, and probably existed solely to mock us. Like, I could end you with a single toe. But here, have a laugh first. T. Rex wasn't just a dinosaur. It was the cosmic punchline to the question, how bad can it get? Tier, S+ the final boss of Earth's operating system. Updated nightly by screams. Therizinosaurus, a feathered ghoul with butcher's fingers. Therizinosaurus is a 33-foot herbivore with 3-foot Freddy Krueger claws and the vibe of a sleep paralysis demon who went vegan. You thought you were safe because it ate plants. That's adorable. This was a nightmare on stilts with Edward Scissorhands' entire career portfolio hanging off its arms. Its claws curved. Sabers for fingers weren't just for show. It didn't stab with them. It reached into your worldview and restructured it. Herbivorous. Yes, harmless. That's a word cowards invented before this monster ever existed. It had the body of a bloated emu and the gaze of something that knows your browser history. A potbelly. Feathers. Giant gut, sure. It looks funny until it's standing outside your tent at 2 a.m. dragging those claws in circles in the dirt. It didn't need to kill you. It just needed you to know that it could. And paleontologists still argue about it. Was it slow-moving or shockingly fast? Did it use its claws to pull branches or eviscerate intruders like a Buddhist sloth possessed by the Old Testament? We'll never know. All we do know is that it lived in Mongolia and probably haunted everything in a 5-mile radius like the world's least apologetic garden rake. Tier A because the forest needed a slasher villain too. Ankylosaurus, warlord tank forged to shatter kings. Ankylosaurus is a 4-legged armored tank with a tail club the size of a warhammer and the personality of a medieval siege engine that found religion in blunt force trauma. Imagine a walking fortress. Every inch plated in bony osteoderms, fused into a shell so impervious it laughed at raptor teeth and shrugged off tyrannosaur bites like mosquito taps. Ankylosaurus didn't run, it dared predators to try. It didn't fight back in the traditional sense. It played whackosaurus with your femur and then kept chewing its ferns like nothing happened. Its tail. Oh, that was the part built by Satan's blacksmith. A biological flail with enough power to break bones in a single swing. T. Rex skulls have been found fractured, and no one wants to talk about that, because that's the secret. The only thing scarier than a predator is a prey animal that isn't afraid. It didn't have to be fast. It didn't need claws. It just waited for you to make the first move, then introduced your ribs to absolute ruin. This was the Earth's version of a spiked baseball bat duct taped to a bulldozer. Tier. It's the immovable object that dared you to be unstoppable. Deinonychus. Silent butchers with surgical instincts for fear. Deinonychus is a mid-sized theropod with sickle claws, pack hunting behavior, and the kind of eyes that whisper, "You're not making it out of this canyon." This is the dinosaur that ruined sleepovers for an entire generation of children. Velociraptor gets the fame, but Deinonychus is what actually inspired the nightmare fuel in Jurassic Park. Bigger, meaner, faster, and probably smarter. Pack coordination. Ambush tactics, a kill method that involved climbing you like a haunted ladder and disemboweling you with toe blades designed to paint the forest floor red. It didn't just kill, it taught you regret. Imagine 6 of them, silent, coordinated, hiding in the foliage. You hear one scream and think it's over, but that's the trap. Because the other 5 are already on your back. Claw deep in spinal memory. They didn't chase. They orchestrated. You didn't run. You bled. Evolution didn't design this thing for balance. It built it for surgical catastrophe. And yes, feathers. Feathers like death wearing a shawl. You thought plumage was pretty. Here it's camouflage, insulation, and theatrical menace. Deinonychus didn't just evolve for efficiency. It evolved to watch you understand what's about to happen before it executes. Tyr, the tactical ghost that wears your intestines like victory confetti. Pachycephalosaurus, brain-dead berserker built to break skulls. Pachycephalosaurus is a dome-headed herbivore with a 10-inch thick skull and the vibe of a frat bro who turned Darwinism into a contact sport. Let's talk about head trauma. This creature didn't just survive concussions, it weaponized them. That dome, a biological battering ram. We're not talking soft, ceremonial nudges. We're talking skull-on-skull violence, delivered with the enthusiasm of someone who skipped anger management for headbutt practice. This was nature's DIY jackhammer, smashing rivals, trees, possibly walls, anything dumb enough to question its forward momentum. And no one's really sure why. Was it for territory? Mating rights? A deep spiritual need to obliterate craniums? Doesn't matter. What matters is the sheer audacity of this thing galloping around the Cretaceous like a dinosaur-shaped wrecking ball, slamming its head into anything that moved or didn't. Paleontologists still argue if they actually rammed heads or just threatened to, I say, look at its face. That's not the face of a poser. That's the face of something who can't spell fear because it has no frontal lobe left. It probably forgot what it was doing halfway through the charge and just kept going. It wasn't built to hunt. It wasn't built to run. It was built to commit to impact, to hit again, to break something fundamental in your evolutionary confidence. Tyr, be the living proof that you can headbutt your way into natural history. Giganotosaurus, forgotten colossus that hunted like a cult. Giganotosaurus is a South American predator bigger than T. Rex, with a name that screams compensation and a personality like a bored serial killer at a Renaissance fair. Oh yes, bigger. The fanboys never shut up about it. But size isn't everything. What matters is what you do with it. And Giga used its bulk to terrorize the hell out of everything in Cretaceous Argentina. Its head was a 6-foot bone vise with teeth like steak knives. It didn't crush bones like T. Rex. No. This thing sliced. It carved. It flayed ecosystems like a walking deli counter of despair. But here's the twist. It wasn't alone. Evidence suggests Giganotosaurus may have hunted in packs. Now sit with that image, several multi-ton murder lizards coordinating their attack like Jurassic juggernauts. That's not a food chain. That's a war crime. And yet, there's an existential sadness to Giga. Always compared. Always the other giant theropod. Like the forgotten twin locked in the attic. No franchise love. No toys. No theme park spotlight. It lingers in obscurity despite having the resume of a war god. If T, Rex is a legend, Giga is a myth smothered in neglect, and maybe that's more terrifying. Because something this big, this fast, but this ruthless and we forgot it. That's the real horror. Oblivion with a jawline. Tyr, as the unsung bloodletter of evolution's shadow draft. Mosasaurus, mouth of Leviathan oceans, died screaming. Mosasaurus is a 50-foot aquatic death torpedo with flipper limbs, a double-hinged jaw, and the behavioral profile of a biblical sea plague. This isn't a dinosaur. It's a marine lizard. But don't let that fool you, it makes sharks look like floating pillows. Mosasaurus was the primeval missile of the oceans, slithering through ancient seas like God's mistake on autopilot. Imagine an apex predator so confident. It gave whales nightmares millions of years before whales existed. It had rows of backward curving teeth, a tail fin that screamed no escape, and a jaw that could swallow other marine reptiles whole. It wasn't elegant, it was efficient. It didn't chase its prey, it unmade them. The ocean wasn't its home, it was its buffet. And because evolution has a sick sense of humor, Mosasaurus had a second row of teeth in the roof of its mouth. Yeah, think about that. You're being devoured and then devoured again inside the same mouth. It was like being eaten by recursion. Like the concept of hunger was encoded in its skull geometry. If land was terrifying, the sea was worse. And Mosasaurus was the reason sailors invented sea monsters before they had boats. Tiered. S plus, the aquatic executioner that turned the ocean into a one-way scream. Carnotaurus. Horned sprinter from Hell's genetic discard piles. Carnotaurus is a slender, two-horned predator with arms so hilariously small it makes T. Rex looked like a powerlifter, and yet it's the most aesthetically aggressive thing ever vomited out by evolution. Let's be honest, if the devil had a greyhound, it would look like this. Thin, fast, unholy, covered in scales patterned like it was designed by a metal album cover. But it's the horns. The horns, forward-facing, bull-like protrusions above the eyes, serving no clear function beyond aesthetics of violence. It looks like it charges into problems it doesn't understand just to feel alive. And the arms, the arms, they are the joke. The punchline, the anatomical middle finger to logic, useless even by theropod standards. No pronation, no mobility, no visible function. It's as if the universe said, you don't need limbs, only rage. And Carnotaurus said, bet! But it wasn't just a punk rock death lizard. It was fast, light build, long legs, likely among the speed demons of its time. Picture it sprinting toward you, chest out, horns glinting, mouth open like a collapsing star. You wouldn't run, you'd weep and accept. Carnotaurus wasn't built to endure. It was built to ruin everything in a single blitzkrieg of confusion. Horns and bite marks. It's the dinosaur equivalent of a knife fight in a gas station bathroom. Tiered. The demon greyhound that proves bad design can still be a war crime.